Well, boys, I don't understand my own power sometimes. Turns out I talked about a cool trinket, and then it gets nerfed. We also have some stuff to get into about Season 2. We have a kind of a start date for that, really. When we can get into a new season, new raids, new dungeons, new rankings, and everything else, and a few other cool facts here. So without further ado, let's get into it. Dark Moon Dominion. Yes, I talked about this trinket just yesterday, and the Samiccus effect has officially kicked in. Blizzard took notice, and that thing has been nerfed into the ground. That's right. Basically, guys, we had a trinket that was boosting not only the secondary stat, which is supposed to be the stat that people, this trinket boosted, but if you tied multiple stats with second place standing, basically tying all of your stats beneath the first place stat, it would boost not only that, but every single stat that was tied for second place on your tune, making this probably one of the most powerful trinkets ever. Yeah, that was clearly an issue and a mistake. Blizzard fixed that issue with the Dark Dominion Blood Trinket, now procking, no longer procking on multiple stats that are equally the lowest stat. Interestingly enough, I don't know how that works now, though. What does it mean? Does that mean that the stat is no longer, is it going to just randomly pick a stat if you tie them? Or is it going to be something else? We'll see what it ends up doing. But right now, the way it works is it's no longer behooving you to tie your stats. That's just how Blizzard's going to make that trinket work from now on. Moving on. Arena World Champions and Mythic Dungeons International. That's right, boys. This tournament continues, and remember, this thing always finishes out at BlizzCon. So the BlizzCon finale will be happening, but the tournament continues for now. You can watch it on Twitch and YouTube from June 5th to June 7th and find out which teams will make it through the gauntlet and qualify for the BlizzCon finale. This is for Arena World Champions and the Mythic Dungeon Invitational. For Arena World Champions, as I mentioned before, June 5th to June 7th, this will continue. You can tune in on June 12th to watch the cross-region playoff, where the final spots of the grand final will be decided. And then for the Mythic Dungeon Invitational or International, June 12th to June 14th, you can find out which teams will face off in the final showdown at the BlizzCon finals as well. We got $6,000 up for grabs, I think, or $600,000, I'm sorry. Yeah, $600,000 up for grabs. Honestly, can't Blizzard put together a bigger prize pool? I feel like it should be more. $600,000, they split it between the guys. I mean, each guy's walking away with just some gas money these days with inflation. So anyways, this thing will finish out on September 12th to the 13th at BlizzCon. I think this is always a fun tournament to watch. If I ever went to BlizzCon in person, I would love to watch this in person. I think that'd be really cool. But go ahead and check these out, as I said before, on the Twitch and YouTube channels for World of Warcraft. Moving into some interesting stuff about the new, lands that we're getting. They're not really new. They're recycled content from Legion. But in the Val region, if you guys remember, Val used to have a little dodge the lightning tactic thing that you could do in there. Well, that's returning. In patch 12.0.7, players may find themselves caught in a storm, and dodging lightning strikes may feel like a familiar track for older RPG fans. If you played Final Fantasy, you may have done this before, but basically what you're going to have here is a little dodge the lightning game with a little clicker. So when you get a little trigger on the floor, you'll have to quickly click the trigger to dodge the lightning strike. This guy's absolutely getting obliterated. He did it right there. So if you dodge it a certain amount of times, you can actually get an achievement for this as well. So yeah, dodging the lightning, something to do to pass the time. I don't know, WoW players run out of shit to do these days, but we'll talk about how many people are playing WoW later today. Anyways, as I said before, this was something actually people did in Final Fantasy. So yeah, dodge the lightning in the new Val land. Moving on to this one here, if you guys are logged in or you've done your trading post stuff, there's two ways to get this bird. You have the Dusk Painted Sunrock or the Flame Painted Sunrock. The Dusk one people have already purchased with their Trader's Tender as they logged in for 700 Trader's Tender, and people are noticing there's a new animation here for this one. Oh god, this link's broken. There's a new animation for this one, pretty cool, that people are noticing is different from any other bird mount before in the game. It actually swoops in from a pretty high height and then swoops off into the sky. I didn't even notice this. I tried to summon this bird when I purchased it just yesterday on stream and didn't realize how far off the animation goes. Yeah, the bird flies off pretty high. This is actually pretty cool. We have other bird skeleton mounts just like this one, riding basically the same structure as this one does, but they don't do this same animation. Blizzard really taking the summoning of mount animation to a whole new level here. It does bring a more of a sense of realism. The fact that your mount is actually just flying off into the sky. If you guys remember in Dragonflight, that was the first time we saw mounts actually landing on the ground as you jump on their back, rather than just all of a sudden appearing between your legs, which, hey, We all like something like that to happen. But basically, yeah, this thing flies off into a far distance. As I said before, Blizzard stepping up their animation game with a lot of these mounts. Some of these summoning style mounts or summoning animations are becoming really, really cool. So this is a nice one, something that players discovered just the other day. Now moving on, guys. Season 2. Okay, a lot of you guys right now have reached a point in Season 1 where, yeah, you got all mythiced out. You know, you don't really need a lot of crests anymore. You're geared to the max. Everything is titted out for you. Well, Season 2 is not as far as you think. That's right. We're going to talk about with a Season 2 date and when we think that's actually going to be. And it's actually not just a prediction. It's pretty much set in stone based on Blizzard's cadence for patches and everything else. So let's look at this real quick. Based on the holiday calendar and everything else, yes, we've made many predictions off of this thing so far, but specifically we're going to talk about a Season 2 start date right now. So typically Blizzard's running an 8-week patch cycle, right? So that gives you the ability to kind of put 8 weeks. Every 8 weeks you can kind of predict what's going to happen next. We can look at the Blizzard, the midnight launch date, which was March 3rd. And if we go out basically 3 sets of 8 weeks from there, that's 24 weeks out, you would put yourself at August 18th. That would be what you think would be the starting date. Now, typically the first patch lasts a little bit longer than 8 weeks. That first basically cycle before the season kicks off, or before the next, the 0.5 patch kicks off, I should say, is a little bit longer than usual because you kind of got that 2-week starting period-ish where people are leveling, and that 2 weeks really doesn't count towards the first season kicking off because that's a delay, obviously. The season doesn't kick off the day the expansion launches. So anyways, but for time's sake, we'll say, okay, 24 weeks out, that puts us at August 18th here. For 12.0.5, 16 weeks out because you got to give yourself 8 weeks for the 0.5 patch, then 8 weeks for the 0.7 patch, puts you at August 11th. And then if you look at 12.0.7, which is seeming like a June 16th starting date, we've talked about this quite a bit. June 16th, I still believe is a starting date, even though we'll talk about it here in a second, but Turbulent Timeways has been shifted a little bit on the calendar. I still think June 16th is the date we are getting 12.0.7. 8 weeks from that date would put us at, again, August 11th. So follow me here. That's looking like a pretty solid date so far. As I said before, Blizzard recently shifted the Turbulent Timeways event. So on the PTR, people were opening up the holiday calendar, and they were seeing when Turbulent Timeways starts. There's 2 big hints as to when 12.0.7 is going to launch because you have 2 major events happening during that patch. You got the Fire Festival, the Midsummer Fire Festival, and the Turbulent Timeways event. Previously, Turbulent Timeways was supposed to start on June 16th and basically go for, it was, I think, 8 weeks. Or 10 weeks of that thing. They've changed that recently. So now that thing is shifted back 2 weeks. It's going to start on June 30th, but they also shrank the event down. Previously, you were going to have to run this thing 6 times over in 8 weeks. Now they're making it 4 times over in 6 weeks. So the fact that they not only moved the event, but they shrunk it tells me that they're not changing the launch date of the patch, but they were in fact just shifting back Turbulent Timeways. Now, interestingly enough, and why Turbulent Timeways is important, usually Turbulent Timeways ends the day before or the week before the next season launches. So if we look at when Turbulent Timeways looks like it's going to end, that's right, we're talking about the week of August 11th, guys. Once again, surprisingly or unsurprisingly enough, August 11th comes forward as the date for the start of Season 2. No shocker there. So what it looks like is going to happen here is we're going to have 12.0.7 basically be our summer patch, kicking off on June 16th, taking us through June and July, and then finally, that second week of August, Season 2 will kick off, guys, for us, leading us into the new raids, the new dungeon pool, Mythic Plus kicking off again, and all that. So, yeah, exciting. I think that's a good time for us to see it start. Also, you could imagine that's going to lead us straight into BlizzCon, basically August, September, BlizzCon's kicking off. BlizzCon kicking off in the middle of a season kind of makes sense there. You know, you don't have anything too crazy going on just before BlizzCon goes live. So it's lining up pretty well. Now, these dates also can continue on from there. Obviously, you can continue to predict when 8 weeks later, 12.1.5, 8 weeks from there, 12.1.7, and then even Season 3, we're talking January 26th for that one. So looking far out. I mean, like I said, Blizzard's been really sticking to these patch cadences. They have the timeline out there. Our timeline right now, we can't see past really what's going to be happening with BlizzCon and everything. But most likely at BlizzCon, I would say we're going to get that next, what do they call it? The time or the lookout for what the next patches are going to be and when those date ranges are going to be. So exciting stuff. Yeah, the patches keep coming out at a good cadence here, and we'll see if these dates actually hold true. They should stick to fixing all the bugs first. Well, they did delay the Turbulent Timeways event. Maybe they wanted to make sure it wasn't bugged. I don't know. But the patch launching, honestly, with Val and Najatar or Najatal, whatever they call it, that's old content being recycled, so it shouldn't be buggy. Cross our fingers. It should be a pretty smooth launch. We'll see how that Omnium Folio power structure and everything else is going to work in the patch, but hopefully it launches well. Finally, for those of you into Greek lore, that's right, a WoW player created a stunning transmog of Poseidon. This is a pretty good one. I can tell already, built up from a couple trading post items. We got to do another transmog contest, man. This one would be a top finisher right here. A nice looking transmog. This guy built out a Poseidon transmog, obviously. He's using trading post items, the legs, the skirt here, even the chest. Bracers might be for somewhere else, and the cape. But the weapon actually is the plundered Vanguard Trident. This was a item level 19 here, so this is old, with the illusion of the Wraith Chill, which is actually Shadowlands Epic Edition pre-order enchant. So pretty good looking stuff, obviously sitting here on the big boy as well, the Jaina mount. This is a pretty good looking mount for this transmog as well. Yeah, a good looking one for sure for those of you interested in some Greek lore in your WoW lore. Pretty nice stuff. Looking forward, we'll see if these dates happen and everything else holds still. And for today, that is all in terms of news.